Alright, my little math friends, here we are. We're moving further into Chapter 9. We're on the second part of 9.3. 9.3b, we're going to find the area of composite shapes again, except this time we're taking off the grid, okay? The grid kind of helps us out. It's like the training wheels of a bike, but we're taking that off so that we can calculate the area differently of these composite shapes. Alright, before we get going too far, I really want you guys to know that I enjoy the opportunity of making these videos for you guys and teaching you math and working with you guys this year. So I hope that these videos are working for you and it's a good way for you to learn. I really do, because I really enjoy trying to get these concepts across to you guys, and you guys are doing really well working with me this year on this. Okay, so let's jump right into this 9.3b. Composite shape, again, it's like we said, it's two or more shapes that are connected together. Okay, and the big thing, especially when it comes to this lesson is we need to stay organized. Okay, we need to use those tools and systems that I told you about in 9.3a to organize these shapes so that we don't get confused with our numbers and we get these correct. Okay, let's jump down into our first shape that we are going to be looking at. Here's our first composite shape. Notice how we have the grid taken away. They've given us some dotted lines here, so that's good. And I've added an extra formula for you guys. Now we're going to be throwing in the circle formula that we were working with earlier in Chapter 9. Okay, that's going to be thrown into the mix here. Okay, so let's take a look at calculating the area of this composite shape. We're going to move down here to step number 1. We're going to break the shape into smaller shapes. Okay, now they've already done that for us. They already have this dotted line run across right here. Okay, and once you got it broken into smaller shapes, a good thing to do is to go ahead and label the sides that do not have any numbers. It'll really help us out. Okay, so this rectangle here, since we know that this side is 10, we know that this side down here is also going to be 10, and same with this. If this is 4 on a rectangle, we know that this piece over here is going to be 4. Okay, that's a good practice to label the missing numbers. Now that we got that done, let's go ahead and move to step number 2. Let's find the areas of the smaller shapes. Okay, so like I said before, we like to stay organized. We like to list the shapes out from small to big. Okay, but looking at these two shapes, they're about the same size, and we only have 2 of them, so it doesn't really matter too much as long as we write them both out. So I'm just going to start with the rectangle. We'll calculate the area of the rectangle. Okay, so we'll do that first. Our rectangle up here, we have 4 and 10, length of 10, the width of 4. So we're going to have 10 times 4 gives us 40. All right, again, I'm writing these out. I know you guys can do that mentally, but I'm writing it out just for the purpose of this lesson. If you can do it mentally, that's fine. Now let's take a look at the second shape we have to do is the triangle. Okay, so my triangle, I need the base and the height, and take a look, we have our 90-degree angle there. That's what we need for finding the base and the height. That's key. So my base here is 6, and my height, what I have to do is I have to go take the 3, and then I also have to extend all the way up here to the top and also take into account the 4. So I'm taking 3 and I'm adding the 4 to it to get a total height of 7. Okay? Some people, like, it's a habit to look at this and they quickly see the 3 and they get going so fast that they just go, okay, I'm going to go 6 times 3. Okay, look out for that. That's why we like to label these other sides with the numbers so that we can get the whole entire thing and we just don't stop at 3. Okay, so this is actually 4. The entire height is 4. So I'm going to follow my triangle formula. I'm going to go 6 times 7 equals 42. Then I have to do my other step of dividing by 2, and that's going to get me 21. Okay, so I'm done with that. I've found the area of the smaller shapes. Now I just want to go to our last step. I'm going to add up the areas. I have 40 plus 21 equals 61. Again, I'm writing that out just for the purpose of this lesson. And look, now we have some units. So this is in feet. So we'd call it feet squared, feet to the power of 2. And that is the area of our first composite shape. All right, let's take a look at the next example I have for you guys. Alright, there's the page that I am looking for. So here's our next composite shape. We have some different things going on here. We have these dotted lines kind of breaking it apart for us. So it looks like we have a square, we have a triangle, and then we have part of a circle there. Okay, so this one takes a little bit of extended thought, because we got to kind of like do a little problem solving on this circle. We have part of a circle. Alright, and to figure out how much of the circle we have, maybe you can just look at it and see it, and you've guessed it already. But what we have is we have 1/4 of a circle, like 1/4 of a slice of a pie. Because if you look at this circle, if we were going to extend it all the way down to here, okay, now, like looking at that, we have half of a circle, and then if we were extending it the rest of the way, then we would have the other half. So what we're dealing with here, if that's half the circle, we took that part away, we're dealing with 1/4 of a circle. Okay, so that's the shape that we have. And we don't have the area for 1/4 of a circle, so I'm going to show you what to do when we get to that part. It just takes a little extended thought to figure out what that would be, just a little bit of problem solving. So let's, now that we have our different shapes kind of looked at here, we know what we're working with, let's get down to our steps and find the area of these things. So we're going to break this shape into smaller shapes. Alright, it's already broken down here for us. We have a triangle, a square, and then 1/4 of a circle. I'm going to label my numbers here that are missing. Okay, this is a good habit to get into. So we got that and we got that. So that's the numbers that we can label. Now let's go ahead and move down to step number 2, and let's start to find the areas of the smaller shapes. Alright, and looking at these shapes here, I mean, they look about the same size. You don't really have to list them from small to big, as long as you get them all listed. These are all about the same, so I'm just gonna put them in a different order. I'll start with the square because that's a little easier to work with. So let's find the area of the square first. We'll start with our easiest one to do. Our square, length of 8, width of 8. So we have 8 times 8 gives us 64. Okay, that's our number for the square. Now let's move on to our triangle. Okay, in our triangle, the base of the triangle and the height of the triangle are the same. We have that nice right angle there. Okay, so 8 and 8. So working out our triangle formula, 8 times 8 again gets us 64. But then we have that extra step of dividing by 2. That gets us down to 32. Alright, now let's take a look at this the circle. We have 1/4 of a circle. Okay, I'll put that there just so I know that I'm dealing with 1/4 of it. Alright, and here's what we have. So check this out. If we went from here all the way across to the other side, if we extended that circle, then our diameter is 16. So what we actually have right here, here's the center. Like if we were going to make this a complete circle, that would be the center. So we actually have the radius right there given to us. The radius is 8 for this circle. Alright, and that's exactly what we need for our circle formula for area, because our formula reads the radius, which is 8, to the power of 2 times pi, which is 3.14, and that's going to get us the area of the circle. So I'm going to just first take the 8 to the power of 2, so that's going to be 8 times 8, so I have 64 times 3.14. Alright, and if I do the math on that, that is going to get me We get a decimal number, but let's just round it to 201 so it's easy to work with. Okay, now let's deal with the 1/4 of the circle. So the 201 is the area of the whole entire circle. So if we were gonna if we had a whole entire circle here, that would be the area, 201 meters squared. I only have 1/4 of it, so I can simply just divide that by 4 to figure out what that piece is, and when I do that, I end up with 50.25. Okay, and that's my area of the circle. That's just a little extra step you got to do, a little critical thinking to figure out what that is. Now that we have our areas, let us add up all the areas. We have 64 plus 32 plus 50.25. Okay, simple addition, add all of those numbers up, and we're going to get 146.25. I'll write that down here, 146.25 units is meters squared. Okay, so that's the area of that composite shape right there. Okay, I have one last example for you, and I wanted to show you this one because we are I'm taking away those dotted lines. We don't have the dotted lines anymore, and I want to show you about breaking this shape into some smaller parts. Okay, so looking at this shape, it looks like it's made up of a triangle, and we got like a rectangle going on over here. So what we want to do first is, just like we did before, we're going to break this shape into smaller shapes. And sometimes when you do that, when you start to break a shape apart, sometimes you can break it apart, but then you break it apart the wrong way, and then you're not able to calculate the area. Okay, it happens. It's not a big deal. Then we'll just erase what we did and then break it a different way. Okay, so sometimes you try and break it one way, and it doesn't work out, so you have to figure out a different way to break it apart. Okay, so let me show you one way that you could break this apart, and this is going to be the wrong way. Okay, so you might not want to write this down, but just kind of pay attention to what happens. So let's say I'm looking at this shape, and I'm like, okay, I could break it right here, straight across, and I could break it right here. Okay, which there's nothing wrong with that, because we ended up with a rectangle, a triangle, and a triangle. Alright, so now what we would do is fill in the missing numbers. Here's my rectangle, so I know that this is 6, and this would be 6 here, and then let's see, I need to find this, the length of this right here. We have 3, so we have 3 right there, but I need to find the length of this so that I could calculate the area of the triangle, and that's where we run into a problem, because I don't have a number down here that I can pull up here to know what that side is going to be. Okay, I can guess. I mean, it looks like it's probably 6 or probably 7, but I don't want to be guessing. I need an exact number if I'm trying to calculate the area, and I don't have enough information. I know the whole thing is 15, but I don't know how long this is from here to here, and I can't figure out what that is, and I don't know what this side is right here. Okay, so we just broke it in the wrong spot, which is no big deal. We just back up. Alright, I just need to give you a little extra explanation on that. We're just back up, and we're going to break it in a different spot. Start over. Okay, so what I want to do is, what if I break it down right here? And maybe you guys thought of that already, which is cool. That's great. Okay, so now let me try and break it right there and see what happens, and see if I can fill in all my missing numbers. If I can, that's great. Alright, so my missing numbers, if this is 3 and it's a rectangle, this down here is going to be 3. And if this side is 6, then okay, good, I got that. This side is going to be 6. And now I need to find, because see here I have a big triangle, and I need this side, and I also need this side down here. So this side, if I'm looking at this, the whole thing is 15 from here over to here. And then if I take away this little piece that's 3, that will get me from here to here for my triangle. If I take 3 off of the 15 piece, that'll get me 12 right there is what I want. Okay, so I have all the missing numbers. I just had to break it in a different spot. Okay, it's not a problem. It'll probably happen. You can always back up. Try breaking it in a spot that's going to be easier. Okay, try and make it easy for yourself when you're breaking this shape up. Okay, just a little explanation on that to kind of help you guys out. Now let's move on to step number 2. Let's find the areas of the smaller shapes. We have 2 shapes. We have our rectangle, we have our triangle. This time we can go from small to big. We got the rectangle is a lot smaller than the triangle, so I'm going to start with the rectangle. My rectangle is a length of 6, a width of 3, so I'm going to have 6 times 3. It's going to give me 18 for the area of the rectangle. Now let's get down to this triangle. Okay, here is my 90-degree angle. So that's going to give me the base, and it's going to give me the height of the triangle, which I need. Okay, so my base is 12, which is this right here. My height is also going to be 12, because look at this. If we go from here to here, that's 6. And then to go from here to here, that's also 6. So that's going to give me 12 over here on this side. Okay, something to watch out for. When you see this 15, it's easy when you're calculating all these numbers so fast that you just automatically put in the 15 without thinking, oh, that's right, I had to take off the 3. So be careful of that. So we got 12 and 12. Okay, so we got the height of 12, a base of 12. We're going to multiply that together. That's going to get 144. Then I have to divide by 2 for my triangle formula. And that gets my number down to 72. Alright, and there are my 2 areas. We're moving on to step number 3. We're just going to add up both these areas, 18 and 72. Okay, that's going to get me 90. And our units are feet. Feet to the power of 2. Okay, there you go. Now you can calculate composite shapes, the area of composite shapes without a grid and by breaking up the shape into those parts. Okay, so I'll see you guys next time in class. Don't forget to try this question. And when we're working out these in class, don't worry. You may break the shape up into the wrong pieces to start off with. That's okay. Just redo it. Break it up into something easier that you can use. Alright, I'll see you guys next time in class and we'll work on this some more.